Hey y'all. So it's the last day of the year and that's wild to me. Is that a little wild to y'all? Because I very vividly remember the same office, the same seat, talking about what my goals and plans and all of that were going into 2022. And 2022 has been a doozy. 2020, I can't even get it out. It's been a lot. It's been this was a difficult year for me, mostly on a personal level, some professionally, but and I'll get into all of it. But today's the last day of the year, and I typically like to do some reflecting and planning and just forecasting into what I hope the next year is going to look like. But after this year, I feel like it's more important than ever to kind of look back on the things that have happened and really kind of not just process those things, but also just take an accounting of them, because it's so easy to get to the end of something, the something in this case being the year, and feel like, where did the time go and what have I done with my time? Is very easy for us, I think, to beat ourselves up and feel like we didn't really accomplish anything, when the truth might be that we didn't accomplish everything that we wanted to. Although I absolutely believe in the importance of setting those intentions and setting those goals. Maybe we don't necessarily meet them all, but it doesn't mean we didn't do anything. Just because we didn't necessarily hit that threshold that we were aiming at, it doesn't mean that nothing happened. So let's go. So start at the top of the year with COVID. You know, I've talked about that on this channel before, but the other thing that I started the top of this year with was answers. I've been having what I'm going to call fertility issues, just because it was, dealing with my ovaries and stuff like that. I was not trying to get pregnant, but it was dealing with the equipment that gets you that way. And so, again, I've talked about this before, but for about 2 years, I was bleeding nonstop. There would be maybe 4 or 5 days a month that I was not bleeding, spotting something. And my gynecologist at the time kept telling me that it was normal, it was normal, it was normal, it was normal, it was normal. Just give it time, it'll stop. It did not stop. And so finally I sought a new gynecologist. I was able to get an appointment with the only Black female gynecologist in my city, and she has since left, but I am absolutely grateful to her, because she was able to actually look into what was happening with me, and we discovered that I had a cyst the size of a grapefruit, a dermoid cyst on one of my ovaries, and it was killing one of my ovaries, left to be precise. And so had the surgery, took it out. I had a difficult recovery from that surgery, even though it was laparoscopic, and everything on the internet was telling me, oh, this is going to be easy, it bounce right back. And maybe because that was the first surgery I'd ever had, and so I don't have anything to compare to. I had a difficult recovery from that surgery, but I finally had my answer, and the bleeding stopped. And so, cool. So we're dealing with that, and in the midst of that, I put out No Longer Afraid, which was a project that was complicated. It was complicated. I'd actually started writing it the year before, and something about it just was not giving what I wanted it to give. And so I kept going back to it. I actually ended up rewriting a large chunk of that project to get it to a place that I was happy with, and ended up deciding that it needed to be done in 2 parts. And so that was another milestone, my first purposeful cliffhanger in that manner that followed the same, that was going to follow the same couple. So February and April, No Longer Afraid and Raised by Wolves, my only 2 full-length releases for the year, which is a tough, a tough hand in and of itself, but it is what it is. In between that, like I said, that difficult recovery from the surgery and me just trying to make sure that I was on track with the things that I so desperately wanted to do. One of those things was creating a resource for authors, beyond just these videos that I do, which I will be doing more of this year. We didn't end up doing too much of it this year, but we'll be definitely doing more in 2023, as well as introducing some other things. But momentum shift, very, 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 very dear to me. And Jasmine, if you're watching this, I was randomly on Twitter last night, and someone retweeted an author who had just taken these beautiful official author pictures, her professional author pictures, and I didn't necessarily recognize her, but in one of the pictures she was holding a binder, and as I looked close, I noticed that it was one of the very few momentum shift planners that I personally printed and put together myself, and it was personalized with her name and all of that, and that really meant a lot to me. I didn't say this to you. I did. If you're Jasmine, if you're watching this, I did reply. I was like, oh, instead of momentum shift planner, and I kept it cool because I didn't want to be weird, but that actually meant like the world to me, because so often I'm doing these things and I'm trying to make an impact. I'm trying to be helpful, but I have no idea if it's actually doing that. Like if the help is actually helping the way that I want it to. And the fact that you held that binder in those pictures that obviously, were important to you, that obviously meant a lot to you. It meant a lot to me. And so thank you for that. Even though, like I said, I was cool on the internet because I didn't want to do too much and be weird, but that really meant a lot to me. And I thank you for, for supporting that endeavor in the first place. And I appreciate, and I'm so happy that it was able to help you on your journey to write your debut. So yeah, that was that was really cool. And if I remember, I'm actually going to link your book in the comments, or not in the comments, but in the description box of this video. But okay, I gotta keep moving because I don't want this to be overly long. So, time is passing, and I'm in this insane writing slump. I'm not as recovered as I hope to be from surgery. I'm still having some pain. We're trying to figure things out. But in the meantime, I'm just trying to push forward. Indie Love happened that summer. We're building the house, and there was kind of a lot happening over the summer with that. We had a lot of momentum with building the house. I was helping my husband haul in sheets of drywall, and I was out there cleaning, and we were cleaning up drywall, and I was helping him unload stuff at the dump. And so I was able to kind of keep myself busy, keep myself moving, but I wanted to be writing. And then, like I said, Indie Love happened down in New Orleans. My first time in New Orleans, had a great time. Came home sick. Came home for my second round, my second spar with COVID, and it killed that normal energy that that we get leaving events like we normally have. Like it's a battery, like it's a power up. But I lost that due to being sick, and so that just the fact that I did not get to take that energy into a project with me, like that really, that messed with me. That kind of messed me up, but push forward. I wrote the New Heights books, and then I started not feeling well. I wrote the New Heights books, and I wrote Curiosity. I wrote the vampire book, and I'm still, just not able to really connect to a project for long term. Like the New Heights books and Curiosity, like those were fine. Like, don't get me wrong, but they they worked because I was able to kind of get in and get out really quickly, tell a story that didn't have, just a ton of time investment needed. But what I wanted was to be able to write something that did need that time investment. I wanted something that would have an impact for my readers, something that was just constantly on my mind was the fact that I have not written a full-length contemporary. There was no full-length contemporary that happened this year because No Longer Afraid and Raised by Wolves, while that was romance, it was more like thriller, romantic suspense. And my last true full-length contemporary romance that I had written was Behind the Scenes, and that just seemed so long ago. When did that come out? Like 2020 or something like that. And it just seemed so long ago, and I felt like I was not just letting myself down, but letting my readers down. And so there was just a lot going on with that. And then I got sick in a different way, and it was tough. That was tough. I was exactly 6 weeks when I found out that I was pregnant, and what should have been able to be this really joyous time, even though I was not trying to get pregnant, because I was enjoying, not bleeding, honestly, and I was not in a hurry to get back on anything hormonal. My doctor removed my IUD for me because I felt like my IUD was still kind of giving me the blues. I lost 30 pounds. Like I was enjoying that, apparently enjoying it a little too much because we see what happened. But the reason that could not be a happy accident is because I knew what was coming for me. With both of my pregnancies with my girls, who are now 10 and 13, I suffered with a pregnancy condition called hyperemesis gravidarum. And I just remember like being so depressed, feeling like I was going to die. My doctor begging me, like, please, can you, just go to McDonald's after this appointment and get a milkshake, anything, to try to get some weight on me, because I lost like insane amounts of weight. Because with those other pregnancies, it took so long for someone to take me seriously when I was saying this is not morning sickness. Well, with the first pregnancy, it was my first time being pregnant, and so I thought that it was normal. It was not normal. It is not morning sickness. Please, I beg you, if you know someone who is dealing with hyperemesis gravidarum, if you are checking on them, do not ask them how their morning sickness is. It is not morning sickness. And having someone ask you how your morning sickness is, it doesn't matter how you intend it. It feels so dismissive, and it feels so degrading almost. Do not ask them how their morning sickness is. You can ask how they're feeling, but do not ask them how their morning sickness is, because that is not what it is. Do not tell them to eat ginger. Do not tell them to try C-bands. None of that works. Medication is what works. Now that I'm over that spiel, I knew that was coming for me. Luckily this time, my new doctor's office, because my doctor that had found the cyst for me, she had left the practice by that time and had moved, to a completely different state. But the office took me seriously. And even at 6 weeks, they started me on Zofran, Phenergan, whatever I needed. They were very like, if you start not being able to, like if you start feeling like you can't move, you start feeling like, those heavy dehydration symptoms, go to the emergency room, go get fluids, go to urgent care and get fluids. Like they were very much on it. And even with that, it was still a very difficult time. Very, very difficult time. All I could do was lay in bed. I was able to pull myself together just enough to take my kids to school and bring them home. That was it. Anything between that, I was in bed or on the couch in the dark. My husband was doing all the meals and everything for, for my girls, anything that they needed, to do with like going up to the school or conferences or anything like that. He was handling all of that for them because I just did not have it. I couldn't work. I couldn't. It was a rough, very, very rough period. And because of that very, very rough period, it meant the loss of a lot of things, a lot of other things that I wanted to do for the year, including I was supposed to speak at Romance Author Mastermind, which was an incredible opportunity to even be, to even be offered, to be, to be invited to speak at something like that. Not just invited to attend, but invited to speak at something like that. And it was, I would have still been in my first trimester at that time. And so I had to turn it down. But a couple of weeks after that was supposed to take place, Kennedy Ryan had reached out to me and asked me if I would be open to attending one of her tour stops for her upcoming release for her. And it was right outside of, like, I was like going right into my second trimester at that time. And I told her, I was like, yes, but I don't know if I'll be able to travel. And so we worked with it. We worked with it because I wanted to be able to do it, because Kennedy is like genuinely like so freaking sweet. And she has been so open, with her knowledge and her resources and, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I wanted to be able to do that for her, and for myself. Like, I wanted to be out of the house. I wanted to, go see readers. I wanted to, be in that bookish energy. And so, it was right up to the wire. Like, we had, plane tickets booked, hotel booked and everything. And I started feeling better. Like, maybe I had maybe been feeling better a couple weeks before that. And it was just slowly getting better. And so I was able to go, had a great time. It was the travel days, both travel days were travel days from hell. But it was a good time. And at that time, while we were in North Carolina, actually, my husband went with me. And while we were there, we found out the gender of the baby, and that was exciting. And so we, more importantly, we found out that there, because of the blood test, we were able to find out that there were no notable, I guess at that time, because, things can still happen, but the test didn't pick up any type of birth defects or anything like that. And so very, very exciting. Baby's actually moving right now as if, girl, I hear you talking about me. But anyway, so yeah, that was a good time. And then moving into now, I guess, again, this year has not necessarily gone how I wanted it to go. Like, at the top of the year, I think I talked about, I wanted 4 full-length releases and a couple of novellas sprinkled in, and I want to do this with my YouTube channel, and I want to do that. And I had so many things that I wanted to do. I also had my financial goal that I wanted to hit, and not everything happened. Or not necessarily in the way that I wanted it to happen. But even with losing those things, I don't feel like I missed anything that was meant for me, anything that I was meant to get. It happened, and I'm grateful. I'm grateful for that. And I'm grateful for the amazing and immense support that I've gotten from my readers all year, from the people who are signed up for my Patreon, especially you guys, because, I was out, and I even after me pausing, everything with the Patreon, you guys came back to me, and I appreciate that so much. Everybody who has checked on me. Some of you noticed that I was not on social media. Some of you noticed that, you know, we see these posts, but where you at? We have not seen you. And some of you reached out to me, and I appreciate that so much. Some of you have asked about like baby registries and stuff like that. And while I will not be doing that, I absolutely appreciate that. Like, that is so kind. That is so kind. And I appreciate that so much, the way that you guys have loved on me and embraced me, not just this year, but beyond. And so again, here we are. Here we are. It is the last day of the year, and I don't know if you can see it. I gotta scoot back so you can see it. I am very much giving Big Mama. But I'm here. I'm here, and I'm ready to tackle what the year might decide to bring, and ready to set, you know, those new goals and those new intentions. And yeah, I'll see you guys next year.